If you try to learn new words directly from flashcards, those words will definitely escape your mind in no time. Hey there, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Have you ever felt that you've been memorizing so many Chinese words, but when you try to speak Chinese, those words are often on the tip of your tongue? What's that word again? You know those words, but it's possible that you don't really understand how to use them, or that you don't use them frequently enough. It's like you know a guy, you can recognize him when you see him, but you know little about him. You might have heard a little about his job. He might be an expert of something, but his name escapes your mind when you need it. Or even if you remember his name, you think it's too embarrassed to ask him for help since you barely talked to him before. You might be experiencing a similar situation if you are busy memorizing a lot of new words without learning example sentences or trying to make sentences with those words. Nowadays, it's easy for you to find a huge amount of learning resources on the internet. But it's very important to filter information. I've seen so many posts on the internet with tons of words in one single image, but with no example sentence at all. How are you going to remember all those words? Don't get me wrong, flashcards are helpful for learning lessons or reviewing the words we've learned. But if you try to learn new words directly from flashcards without learning example sentences, trust me, those words will definitely escape your mind in no time. Therefore, if you want to make words stick in your mind, you'll need to practice making sentences every time you learn a new word. Today, I will show you how to make Chinese sentences with time words and location words. In order to make junior learners easier, I will use only words in HSK Level 1 and Level 2. Yeah, I've received complaints about the words in my previous video being too difficult. Well, it's for advanced learners. So if you're above HSK Level 2 and you've known pretty well how to use time words and location words in a sentence, you can skip the rest of this video and watch the previous one about how to boost your vocabulary by learning word families. In the case that you haven't watched it, if you have, good for you! Find something else to watch then. Check the video list in my channel. Alrighty, junior learners, let's take a look at the content of our lesson today. I will start from introducing some verbs using very simple example sentences. Next, time words and how to use them with the verbs. Then, location words and how to make sentences with them. For the final part, I will show you how to use the time word and the location word in one single sentence. Okay, let's begin. 学习 学习 to learn or to study 考试 考试 to take or to have an exam or test 工作 工作 work or job. It's a more general term. You can use it for all kinds of work or job, with or without pay. It can be a verb or a noun. Another word that is similar to 工作 is 上班 上班 It is usually used for office workers to refer to the act of going to work or the state that you're on duty. It's easy to confuse these two words, so I'll spend some time explaining more here. For example, when saying 他在家工作, it only means working at home. We don't know if he's paid or not paid, or if he's on duty. And during the coronavirus outbreak, many people start to work from home. You can say 在家上班. It implies that you are on duty, even though you are home. 运动 运动 to exercise. 休息 休息 to rest. Now let's make some simple sentences. We've got some pronouns here that we can use as subjects. We use the subject and the verb to make a simple sentence. Try creating an image in your mind while reading sentences. Let's begin with 我工作 I work. Imagine when you're working. 我工作我上班 I go to work. Recall what it's like when you go to work in the morning. 我上班。Let's change the subject into 你学习 You study 你学习你考试 You take an exam 你考试男的他运动 He exercises 他运动女的她休息 She rests 她休息 Now we take a look at some time words 早上 refers to early morning around 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. 上午 refers to morning before 12 o'clock 中午 noon from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. 下午 afternoon from 1 p.m. until sunset or roughly before 6 p.m. 晚上 night or evening roughly after sunset and before sunrise 昨天 yesterday 今天 today 明天 tomorrow Note that in Chinese, as we mentioned in our previous video, when using more than one time word, we place bigger time periods before smaller time scales. For example, 今天早上 or 中午12点 12 o'clock at noon or 今天中午12点 12 o'clock at noon today.Now let's make sentences with some of the time words and one of the verbs we've learned. Please note that you have to place time before the verb in a Chinese sentence. You can't place time in the end, although you can place it in the beginning of a longer sentence. We will talk about this in the future. Today we will focus on the structure of subject, time, verb. 我早上上班 I go to work in the early morning.我早上上班 Try this. I study in the afternoon. 我下午学习 我下午学习 You will have an exam tomorrow. 你明天考试你明天考试 Now let's try using two time words to make this sentence.You will have an exam tomorrow afternoon. 你明天下午考试。你明天下午考试。He exercised last night. 他昨天晚上运动。他昨天晚上运动。Location words.I will introduce some nouns that can be used as location words. 家 home 家房间 room 房间学校 school 学校公司 company 公司机场 airport机场火车站 train station 火车站 When we want to say where one action is taken, we put 在 and the place before the verb in a sentence. 我在家休息 I rest at home or I rested at home. 我在家休息 Since lots of people are confused about it, I want to stress again, tenses are not clear in Chinese most of the time, especially when there's no time words. In this sentence, it could be present tense, past tense, or even future tense, depending on the context. 他在机场工作 He works at the airport. 他在机场工作She studies in a room. 她在房间学习。她在房间学习。This sentence could also mean she is or she was studying in a room in answering to questions like where's your sister or where was your sister? I took an exam at school. 我在学校考试。 我在学校考试。Now we will try to make sentences with time and location words. When using them in one single sentence, we place time before location. You can think about it this way. As mentioned earlier, tenses are not clear in Chinese, which makes time words very important to help one understand the context. So we place time before location words and verbs. We've learned several time words, location words, and verbs. Let's use some of them to make sentences that include time and location. I exercise at home in the early morning. 我早上在家运动。我早上在家运动。You study in the room at noon. 你中午在房间学习。你中午在房间学习。He rested in the airport at night. 他晚上在机场休息。他晚上在机场休息。She will work at the train station tomorrow. 他明天在火车站上班。他明天在火车站上班。Now you can practice making a sentence of your own. What will you do tomorrow? You may use any verb you know. 我明天在 Waste time. Rearrange the phrases to make a sentence. A. 下午 B. 昨天 C. 他 D. 考试 E. 在学校 Let me know in the comments your answer to the question. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give us a like if you did. Subscribe our channel and turn on the notification. I'm Rena from Mandarin Max. 下次见。